Ta-da! Awesome sauce. All right. Let's get on with it. Y'all are probably going to get to see me in the glasses this evening. I've had a kind of interesting headache all day, and my eyes hurt. I've also been reading and teaching all day, so hello to those of you guys on YouTube. Hello to those of you guys watching me on TikTok. I can't stand that being right across my face right there, so we're just going to move that over. I will have everything up here in the little circle. I went back and forth. For those of you guys watching on YouTube, y'all get to see the whole shebang. Y'all have my layout. Y'all have all the stuff up there. Y'all can see everything going on. Those of you guys on YouTube, y'all get to see, or TikTok, excuse me, y'all get to see this. If I'm doing a read for you this evening, then, there we go. All right, let's see here. If I'm doing a read for you guys this evening, you will have it on YouTube. I'm looking at my tickets and all that stuff. Thank you, Miss Joy, to get all of this good stuff done. If y'all want to get on the list for tonight, you can do so. There we go. Miss Tiffany Merriman, you are first on my read here. I am pretty sure that I have already pulled your birth chart once, but let's find out. Oh, wait. We don't want to make a new chart. Cancel. Yes, I want to go ahead and cancel that. Where's my button with the charts? Where's my button with the charts? All right. So if I squish my thing down, it goes away. That's just stupid. That's just stupid dumb. All right, there we go. Ta-da! All right, Miss Tiffany Merriman. Oh, yeah, you and your Leo-ness there. Someone explained to me why Google Translate is trying to suddenly do French words. I don't get it. I don't know. All right, Miss Tiffany. So I'm looking at specific placements on your chart. One of the main things I'm looking at is this second house right here. I'm also looking at the 8th house and the 11th house. So we're going to start with your second house here. So this one being in Virgo with Saturn. Saturn is a very driven point in your chart. Okay, so the second, sorry, I was like trailing off. So the second house is all about your material wealth. This is your drive. This is how much money you want. Like, this is what governs how ambitious you are. Let me turn you like that, TikTok. This is what governs how ambitious you are as far as where things go in your life. The 8th house up here is how everything goes with interpersonal money. So inheritance, marriage, etc. The 11th house is your drive socially to move forward. I'm looking at those 3 houses. I'm also looking at your 6th house, because this one here is also your work ethic. These are your personal houses. These are your out in the world houses, okay? Personal, interpersonal. I'm looking at specific signs, such as I'm looking at your Mars, which is your drive. I'm looking at your Jupiter. I'm looking at your Saturn. I'm also looking at your Venus and your Mercury. Okay, so we're going to start right here, and we're going to look at your Saturn. I'm going to click on that because I want to see what it's touching over here. Okay. I like that it's touching something in Sagittarius. So Saturn is a ruler of karma, but it's also a ruler of banks and finance and things like that. So I love that Saturn is in your 2nd house. That right there tells me that Tiffany is very, very ambitious. Tiffany is very good with planning money, with planning to use money, with putting things back in savings and so on. However, we're going to look at some other things here. The fact that it is tied in, let me click on that again. The fact that it is tied in right here and this is in retrograde, I don't like that a crazy amount, because what that tells me, this house, Sagittarius is a driven house as well. So I like that this is in Sagittarius. What I don't like is that this is in retrograde, which tells me that Tiffany will 100% blow money on things that she feels like are filling a void in her childhood. So these could be little things like maybe you never got that expensive pair of Reeboks you wanted as a kid and they come back out with them. You may be broke. You may be, I got to pay my rent tomorrow, whatever, but you're going to get the shoes. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that's the aspect of this. So I don't like that it's over here hitting this retrograde. I also, you have 3 of these placements in your first house that I am looking at. So one of the things I noticed right off the bat, A, all of these placements are in Leo, and B, these are in your first house, which is the self. Okay. So I'm looking at your Jupiter, I'm looking at your Venus, and I'm looking at your your Mercury, excuse me. Your Mercury is not just communication, but it's commerce as well. Your Venus is not just love, but it's also luxury. Being that that is in Leo in her chart tells me that she really, really loves luxurious things. But the fact that her Jupiter, which is her expansion and how driven she is to expand, that's also in Leo, meaning that Tiffany has a problem kind of keeping up with the Joneses a little bit. And there's a lot of underscored envy there. Okay. So when you see somebody that has a new car, suddenly you want a new car. Your car may only be a year old, but now you want a new car because they got a new car. Everybody wants a new car. I'm just saying. But the fact that you have 3 of these placements that I'm looking at tonight in Leo, which you Leos know that when y'all want something, you jump on it. And your ascending and your sun is in Leo. That's a lot of Leo placements. I do like this, however, and this is your Mars, which is your drive and your passion. It is in the 11th house, which is one we were looking at, but it's also in Cancer. Water and fire don't really cancel each other out in the chart. It's air and fire that are opposites. But I do like that this is more of an emotional placement with your Mars. So what that tells me is if you get emotional about a job, about doing something, about finance, about investing, about something, and mainly it's to prove somebody wrong, especially with this being your Mars. If this is to prove someone wrong, then you're all about it. You're going to do it. You're going to stick with it. It's not really tied into anything that I'm looking at. Your palace is tied in with both your Jupiter and your sun, but it's in retrograde. So here's the problem with that, because this 7th house is like your relationship house, okay? The fact that this is in retrograde, excuse me for yawning, that governs your creativity, your wisdom. So you can make really rash decisions with money. Yeah. You can make rash decisions with money, especially when it comes to gifting. Okay. Because your palace sits in your 7th house up here, which means that you're really a thoughtful gifter. You are really thoughtful in relationships, and you do everything you can to try to make a relationship work even when it won't. But you will go too far with gifting in a relationship. So Tiffany, what I'm going to say, you have a lot of drive. You have a great placement with Saturn in your 2nd house in Virgo. That's a very, very solid driven placement and solid in that house. But having those 3 placements in Leo, and they're not really tied in with some of the other aspects in a very strong way that I want to see, you are going to have to really, really make sure that you have impulse control, because those Leo placements are going to get you every stinking time. Your expansion, you're going to want to keep up with the Joneses, even to your detriment sometimes. I do kind of like that your Mercury is right there. And I do like that it is kind of tied in with that, because that is one thing that will kind of stop you from doing a lot of that spending that has to do with making up voids, if that makes sense. So make sure that you put stops in place, to keep yourself from dipping into savings, to keep yourself from making it to where you can't invest in the stock market or anything like that. Okay, Tiff? I would make sure that you do everything you can to put stuff on automated so you don't even see the money. If you have direct deposit, it comes into your account. Part of it goes to savings, part of it, set all of that up so you don't have to worry about it. Okay? All right. Miss Minnie is next. Okay, I want to talk one more little thing about Tiffany's real quick before we move on to Minnie's. Okay. With all those Leo placements, I'm going to go on again. Been a long day. With all those Leo's placements, I know that I kind of talked as in you need to rein those back, but they also can serve you really, really well, especially with this Mars placement right here. Because with this Mars placement, that's a very, very driven to show other people your worth. Okay. So those Leo placements and you being a Leo yourself, that can be a really good governing factor as far as your drive and being successful. You just need to make sure that you have some automations in place so that way you're not stressed and worried about not having money in savings or whatever. Can also keep you from overspending. Okay? I knew I already had Miss Minnie in here. Why are you doing this? Why do you keep giving me the translate thing? I've never translated something into French. Why are you the way that you are? Why are you the way that you are? All right, Miss Minnie. So I love that your Mars is in Capricorn in your 8th house. I love that your Pallas is in Aries in your 11th house. And I love that your Jupiter is in your 2nd house in Cancer. I do hate that it's in retrograde when you were born. Okay, let's discuss. The reason that I dislike that this is in retrograde is because you second guess yourself. Having your Jupiter, your personal power, your expansion aspect be down here in your 2nd house in retrograde. If it wasn't in retrograde, that would be one thing. But the fact that it's in retrograde tells me that you second guess every single move you make. Every time you take a step forward, every time you expand, every time let's say you finish college, you get a degree. Now you get a job and you're second guessing that degree. You're second guessing that job. You're second guessing your abilities to do that thing. So you are going to second guess every aspect of your money, your personal finances. Sorry, I'm yawning so much tonight, guys. You are also going to second guess anything that you work and gain. So let's say you work real hard, and you're buying a house, okay? And you find a house that you absolutely adore. It's like the perfect house. You love it. You can't wait to move in. You're approved. You buy it. You get moved in. And then suddenly you're second guessing that purchase. You needed a house. It was the right price. It's yours. You bought it. But now you're second guessing that. So this is not just for spur of the moment purchases. This is everything. Okay, this is everything having to do with your money. You second guess. I do love that Pallas is over here in Aries in a cardinal sign. You aren't so worried with keeping up with the Joneses as you are worried about having creative ways to showcase your skills. So you're going to be the happiest by showcasing that brain that's up there. Just because I kind of know what you do for a living, I'm not gonna, nobody needs to know that but let's just say that Miss Minnie is in all kinds of like super technological software-y stuff, and she's very intelligent, so she's not as worried about keeping up with the Joneses because of this Pallas placement right here. But what she does tend to worry about is, how can I creatively use any success that I have? I want to talk about these two, well, really this Mars placement in this 8th house. You have it in half in Capricorn and half in Sagittarius, with your Mars being in Capricorn. So Capricorn is the workaholic of the zodiac. If you have a lot of Capricorn placements, you are going to lose yourself in work. We're not going to see you. Have a good time. See you later. Bye-bye. But any Capricorn placement is going to be a very, very driven placement. So let's talk about this Mars, because this literally is your drive and your push forward. Having a Mars in Capricorn is a super intense sign, is a super intense placement. And having it in this 8th house, this is interpersonal money. So this is relationships, this is inheritance, this is real estate. I would look at investing in real estate, so that way you scratch this itch of having something to pass down to someone else, of having something that will take care of your family. Okay. The other things I'm looking at, these three right here, all in Capricorn. Your Mercury is solidly right in the middle of this 9th house. Your Saturn also right smack in the middle of this 9th house. Your Venus, however, is in retrograde. So you're not somebody that has to have the most luxurious things. In fact, you probably could care less. As long as it's solid and you don't have to spend money on it 50 times, you're never going to get so caught up in having to have the newest luxury things that you go in the hole for it. Okay? So I do love this placement right here. Your Saturn, let's talk about these two kind of together, because Saturn governs banking and finance, and Mercury governs commerce. You're very, very talented and very driven when it comes to business. I would say that you are either going to rise through the ranks really quick in any position that you take, or if you step out on your own and you open your own business, you're going to be so driven to be successful with that. There's not any stopping you, okay? The only thing that I'm going to say about these two placements right here is that they are in the 9th house. The 9th is higher wisdom, it's philosophy, it is philanthropy, all of that aspect. So make sure that everything you do, I personally, seeing those placements, would put something back that helps to that helps to fulfill you in a spiritual way. So whether this is a vacation to somewhere that you that means a lot to you spiritually, whether this is, you know, purchasing something for your spiritual practice, purchase something really nice. Don't purchase a whole bunch of little tiny things, one big nice thing. I would 100% be investing. I would 100% be putting money in savings. These are two great placements, especially in the Capricorn aspect. Ninth house aside. But Miss Minnie, I think that you're very solid in your money. You just need to stop second guessing yourself, because seeing this Jupiter down here in retrograde, you've got to stop second guessing yourself. Okay? Because that is what is holding you back. These are solid, amazing placements up here. Yeah. Stop second guessing yourself. Okay? Stop second guessing yourself. Why are you being the way that you're being? Oh, because it's me. I'm sorry. All right. Miss Lesa G. I'm pretty sure that I pulled your chart before too, my girl. Yup. All right. No placements in the second house, but Saturn, I mean, not Saturn, Sagittarius is about 2/3, 3/4 of your second house. Okay. I like that Saturn is over here in your sixth house. I like that it's tied into your Venus, which is in your eighth house in Taurus. Taurus is a money sign. I also like that it's tied into your Mercury. I wish that was in the 11th house, but that's okay. Okay. So, like I said, there's nothing in your second house, okay? That's not a bad thing, especially because you have a Sagittarius. It mainly rules the second house. I do love that. Let's talk about your Saturn. This is over here in Pisces, and this is your work ethic with your banking and finance. So, you're somebody that you're very, very diligent on putting money back, on being able to budget and so on. But the fact that that's in Pisces means that you can be just slightly temperamental. So if you Pisces love me, I love you. If y'all know I'm right, if something happens and you need to pull that money right then, it doesn't matter if your brain's like, hey, you know, like time out. Maybe we shouldn't pull this money. Maybe, just time out. No, you're probably going to pull the money. You're probably going to pull the money. I'm just saying, you're going to pull the money. So here's the thing that goes along with that. I do love that it's tied in with two of the other placements I'm looking at. I don't love that your Venus is in Taurus. While Taurus is a money sign, and Venus is luxury, and the eighth house is your interpersonal money, such as finance and real estate and married money. What sucks is Venus is the luxury placement, and Taurus loves luxury. And you have your banking and your finance in Saturn in Pisces, which is a very emotional, reactive sign. So that I don't like it. I don't like it, because it means that I do like that your moon is in Virgo, because you tend to be a little broody. But what this right here means is that if you get upset or something happens and you feel like the only way to fix that is to maybe have a self day, you know, let's take care of the self, let's do all of those things. I'm gonna move that down slightly. You can't even see the top of it. Why didn't y'all tell me over there on YouTube? All right. You can spend too much on luxury items. Maybe you go into a little boutique shop and they have soap in there and you don't even use bar soap, but it smells great and you like it and it's a cute little boutique shop. You're going to spend too much on fucking soap. You're going to spend too much on soap. I also just saw that like you and I can never go shopping together because I'm the same way. So we can't go shopping together, Lesa. But I do like that your Mars is up here in the 8th house. It's in Gemini, which is a very overthinky sign. The only thing I'm going to say about this is be careful not to overthink yourself into stopping something that you are doing. Because having that Gemini placement in Mars, you can be really, really driven if you want something. But the minute that little second guess starts to come in, then it's over. I also am looking at your Jupiter and your Mercury. Your Jupiter is in the 9th house and it's also in Cancer. Cancer is the ruling sign of your 9th house, plus your sun sign is up here, meaning that you're really drawn to higher wisdom and philosophy and so on. So when it comes to expansion, when it comes to you making big moves, if it doesn't resonate with you on a very deep psychological level, you're not going to do it. Even if it makes all of the financial sense, even if it makes all of the sense in the world to, you know, other people around you, etc. If you don't feel like it's going to be right, you're not going to do it. Your Jupiter is also tied in with your Pallas, which can be an indicator that you will also jump on creative endeavors, sometimes to your detriment. Let's talk about this Mercury. It's just barely still in Cancer, but it's in your career house over here. I love that it's tied in with your Saturn. I love that it's tied in with your Venus, because that means if you have a thing where you're like, I feel like I need a luxury treat, you can have a little stop. Being a Cancer, sometimes you act on emotion anyway. So what I'm going to say about financial planning with you is this. Make sure that you have some kind of fail safe in there, a safe word for yourself or something, because you have several of the placements. 3 of the placements I'm looking at are in water signs, and they're in the 2 that, Scorpio and Taurus govern money, okay? Having 3 of the signs I'm looking at in Cancer, or 2 of the signs I'm looking at in Cancer, and another one in Saturn in Pisces, those are very emotional, reactive placements. So you're going to have to be really, really careful and not overspend on luxury items, not overspend on planning, okay? Because the Saturn being in this work ethic house, that's planning, okay? Looking to see if there's anything else I want to mention. I slept all crooked, and so my neck is not happy this evening. Okay. I think that's about it. I think that's about it. I like it when you don't do what you're supposed to do. All right, Jacob, you are next. I don't think that I have pulled a chart for you before, so all right. So you don't have anything in your second house, but it is in Virgo. It's a lot of placements in your 10th house. Okay. So let's start over here with your Jupiter. Your Jupiter and your Pallas are not tied into anything. Both of them, yeah. It's just weird because it almost looks like it's in the 8th house, but it's also right on the line. So technically it's in your 9th house. Both of these are in your 9th house. So your drive, your expansion is always going to be driven by higher learning. Anything that you do is going to be governed by your brain. Even though it's in Pisces and that's a very emotional house, you're never going to take a backseat to emotion. Your brain is always going to be in charge. The fact that you have several placements over here in Taurus is the same thing. So let's look at this Mars placement here. And Vlad's going to sing for you guys. Your Mars and your Mercury. Mars is that really driven, let's move, let's go, passionate aspect, and it is in Taurus, which is a money sign in a career placement aspect. The interesting thing about your 10th house, like it has 3 signs, Taurus being the main ruler of that house, which is nice. Your Mercury is kind of smack dab in the middle. Mercury is a planet of commerce. So you're always going to be very good at budgeting, at banking, at savings, as long as you pay attention and as long as you, well, not pay attention, but you know what I mean. As long as you're driven to put that money in savings. The fact that your Saturn is just right here over the line in Aries, and it doesn't really hit anything that I'm looking at. The fact that it's right over the line in Aries means that you can make some rash decisions, but your rash decisions are based on what will help you move forward the quickest, the fastest. When it comes to success. Aries are not really known for, now, don't take this the wrong way, Aries. Y'all are not really known for having to have this overly luxurious life. Aries would rather do things versus having things. They would rather be able to brag that, you know, they went to Indonesia and they climbed through old temples and they went to Hawaii and they swam with sharks. They would rather brag about those things than say, oh my God, I have a new Mercedes. Not that they wouldn't like to have the new Mercedes. They're all about the experience over the thing. So that is good in your favor here with this Venus placement, because it means that you're not going to stress too much about having all of these crazy luxurious items. You're more going to put your money and your luxury needs into learning, into your job, into all of these things where you can brag and say, you know, I have like 4 degrees, you know, I have these many certifications. Like, as long as you can brag about all of the things that you've done and accomplished versus what you own, if that makes sense. I think as long as you follow a path with your job, your success, and your money that all fulfill you very philosophically, that allow you to move forward with the things that you are passionate about, I think that you'll be just fine. I love that you have Taurus placements in certain areas. I love that this Virgo is the ruler of your second house down here, which is also a very driven sign. And I love that Capricorn rules your sixth house over here, because that's your work ethic. You won't stop at anything until that work got in a loop there. You won't stop at anything until your work ethic is happy. Does that make sense? Blah, 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 blah. Words are not my friends. It's been a long day. I have done nothing but talk all day. All day. Also, just to be completely honest with you, this pain in my neck is really weird, and it's like back here on this muscle. And even though I know that it's not anywhere near my main arteries, this is one of the things that comes, one of the anxieties that comes from having a stroke, is that anytime you have something weird go on with your brain, and anytime you have some aspect of oh, my words aren't working, am I having another issue, like that's the anxiety that's going through my head as I'm trying to focus and read. That's the anxiety that's going through my head, even though I have had migraines since I was 19, and I have ice pick headaches, which feels like someone's driving a thing through you. Even though I've had those for so long, this little thing right here is making me go, like, should I be worried about that? Is that, you know? And then my anxiety is like, it's an aneurysm, it's a stroke. Like, you're welcome. You're welcome. That's my anxiety. Just wanted to share that with you. Because sometimes if you just acknowledge it, it'll help. My brain is a duck. Just saying. All right, Miss Mary Moneymaker, are you ready? I know every single one of us, our brains do the worst shit to us. Have I pulled the chart for you, Mary? I don't think I have I? I have? What? See, it did the stupid little French to English. Like, stop it. All right, let's look here. So Leo in your second house. That could be a problem because it means you're impulsive with your money and with your material things. Jupiter in your fifth house. It is in Sagittarius, which is a good thing. But it is in retrograde, meaning that you overthink everything. Anytime you take a step forward, you're overthinking it. I absolutely love that your Saturn is in Taurus. Taurus is a money sign. It's also in your 11th house, which governs social aspects with your career. The other 3 signs that I'm looking for are right here in Aries. I mean, well, 3 of the 4 I'm looking for are here in Aries, in the 10th house, in the career house. We're going to talk about Mars first, because your Mars sitting in Aquarius is a very balanced sign. There's good and bad, because okay, the bad is that it is tied in with your Jupiter, and your Jupiter being in retrograde means you already overthink everything as far as expansion, ambition, and so on. And having your Mars in Aquarius means that you're very balanced with your passion, so that could cause a problem in you striving to move forward. So you're ambitious, you want things, you want to make money, you want to save money, and you want to have a lot of stuff. But these two placements right here kind of work against each other, and they kind of fuck you over a little bit. Oh, such a terrible life down there in Dr. Pocket. These can also cause some rash decisions. Like I said, the good thing is that Aries is not really a I need all of the things type of sign. It's more of a let's go do this crazy thing type of sign. So with your Venus being there, that means that impulsively you could want to spend more on experiences. So instead of spending like 500 bucks on a purse, I can't even think of that. Spending 500 bucks on a purse, you'll spend 500 bucks on 2 concert tickets, because you want that experience of going to that place, going to that thing. Mercury being in your Aries means that I don't think you go pull money at a moment's notice, but pretty close. You do kind of think about it a little bit, just because that Taurus Saturn over there, and being a Taurus yourself, you like knowing that you have money in the bank, even if it's $5. You like knowing that there's money in your bank account. So you're not about to go drain every bit of money out of your bank account. But if somebody were to come up and be like, dude, I've got 2 tickets to whoever your favorite band is, their front row, I've got backstage passes, if you can just, can you get the hotel room, I've already got the tickets, you're there. So just saying. Aquarius is also the ruler of your 8th house, but there's no planetary placements in there, which means that when it comes to significant others and money, when it comes to inheritance, when it comes to real estate, you're very balanced in that aspect, which will work out in your favor. Your Mars is almost in Capricorn. I do like that Capricorn is half of your 6th house, which is your work ethic. You don't have a problem getting up and going to work, because the other half is Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a very driven sign as well. So overall, Mary, I would just say to be careful about second guessing yourself. Play on that Aries Mercury, those 3 Aries placements right there, especially this Aries Palace. Aries are very confident. So being a cardinal sign, they're very confident. So play on those Aries placements instead of allowing that Jupiter placement to second guess you at every single turn. Okay? Uh-oh, what happened? What happens all the time? Oh, the fake Bodies. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it seemed like they were sloughing off a little bit, and now they're making the rounds again. Now they're making the rounds again. All right. Miss Sarah Beard, you're next, sugar. Sarah, I already had you on my list, so I'll send you a coupon Okay? For a free read. What? Why are you doing the things you're doing? Why are you doing the things you're doing? Stop telling me to fucking translate into French. The fucking shit. Lots of placements in your second house. All right. So first, we're going to talk about this moon placement right here, because this moon placement is in your 11th house. I love that it's in Libra. Okay, let's start there. I love that it's in Libra because that means that you're very balanced in how you view this aspect of your life. Being that your moon is your emotions and your 11th house governs your social aspects of your career, you're very balanced in feeling. You're not that person that's going to go out and be in your face about stuff like, oh, I'm an actor, or, you know, I'm a mechanic. Like, you're not like in your face about your job, but at the same time, you don't just hide in the background. You're very balanced and know when you need to say this or when you need to say that. I do also love that you don't really have anything that I'm looking at in this chart tied in with your moon. Okay. For some reason, my brain said that's in retrograde. No, it's not. I'm seeing your Pluto in retrograde. And that's not one of the things I'm looking at. All right, let's look at this second house. And sorry, TikTok, I'm having to lean over a little bit here. Let's look at this second house. So you have your Saturn. Brain is braining weird. You have your Saturn in Sagittarius in your second house. Now, half of your second house is Sagittarius, the other half is Capricorn. I love that because those are two very, very driven signs. And then the fact that you have both of those in your second house, which is your material girl house. And then you have your Saturn, which is your banking and your finance, in your second house. You're very, very driven to save money. You're very driven to invest in the stock market. I was looking over here too. I like that it's tied in with your Mercury, which is commerce. The fact that your Mercury is in your fourth house tells me that you're also very driven when it comes to real estate. You want roots. You want an estate. You want a place to knuckle down and this be your place. You're not going anywhere. Okay. I love that your Mars is in your sixth house because that is your work ethic. I love that it's tied into your creativity, which is in Scorpio, which is a money house. I love that it's tied into your Mercury. So you are 100%, especially that's in Aries, which is a cardinal sign. If you want something, you are going to go after it. You're not going to stop until you get it. The other thing I like too that I just noticed is your ascending is in Scorpio and your descending is in Taurus. The two money signs of the zodiac are opposite sides right here. And I love that. Where's your Venus? There it is. It's hiding from me. So your Venus is in the Capricorn. Okay, your Venus is in Capricorn. So here's the problem about that. Venus is luxury. And one thing about Capricorns is they like to silently show off, okay? So a Capricorn will drive a very expensive car and not tell anybody they drive an expensive car. They would rather pull up in a brand new Mercedes and you flip out about it than be like, oh my God, bitch, I just bought a brand new Mercedes. That's not a Capricorn's MO, okay? So a Capricorn is going to roll around in expensive boots. A Capricorn is going to roll around in really expensive ass shit, okay? So that could be a problem, especially because this is in your third house, which is your mind. So your way of empowering yourself, especially in relationships, is to feel like you are head to toe covered in something luxurious. So that could be a problem. So you're going to have to kind of rein that in just a little slightly. And it's tied in with your Mercury and the fourth house, meaning that you tend to be a little bougie when it comes to where you live. You're very particular about where you live. And that's not always a bad thing, but there are going to be places that would be fantastic for you to be in that you're going to kind of turn your nose up at a little bit because it doesn't appear to be good enough, if that makes sense. Your eighth house, mostly Gemini, a little bit of Cancer. That can cause a little bit of problems with being impulsive, especially when it comes to gifting, relationships, interpersonal money, etc. Pop my ears. So I would just say really rely on this Saturn in Sagittarius placement in your second house. That is going to be your hardcore drive forward. And be careful with buying luxury things to make you feel better. Okay? Just saying. Just saying. I do love that your creative placement is in your first house. It means you're a very, very creative person. Yes, Mom. Girl. I mean, it's the pot calling the kettle black. I'm not going to lie. So, I have way too many Capricorn placements, and I am 100% that person that if I feel down, why are you doing what you're doing, computer? If I feel bad about myself, then I can have a problem with, like, my addiction is expensive boots. But not just expensive boots, like they have to fit just right, all this stuff, but I'm very particular on what kind of boots I wear. It's the weirdest fucking thing. It's the weirdest fucking thing. I have several pairs of boots that are over $300. My favorite boots were almost $500. So there's that. So there's that. So I understand that, hardcore Sarah. I understand. But it's not like I go and buy boots like that all the time either. So, oh, okay. I thought I just fucked that up. I was gonna say, oh, Miss Lesa. Let's talk about Miss Lesa Poo. Stop trying to make me translate. And why is this up here? Suddenly Google has a translate this page button on the top, and it keeps trying to make me translate from French to English. First of all, my computer's in English, ho. Quit trying to make it do French. I can't read French. I can read bonsoir, and that's about it. That's it. Stop it. Stop it. At least make it do Spanish. I can halfway read Spanish. Stop fucking with my emotions. Okay. Lots of placements in the sixth house. We're going to talk about that. Gemini is the ruler of your second house. Sagittarius is the ruler of your eighth house. All right, we're going to start here because look how much shit that is tied into. We're going to start with your Saturn. Your Saturn is in your first house in yourself, and it's in Aries. So the problem with your Saturn being in your first house is this. you feel like your sense of worth is tied to your bank account. You feel like your sense of worth is tied to your finances. So if you feel like your bank account is down or your finances are down, then you don't feel like you're worth as much. And being that that placement is in Aries, the vast majority of your first house is in Taurus. The problem with that means that that can be a lot of luxury. It's much easier said than done. If I would say, well, I am saying, your worth is not tied to your bank account, because with that kind of placement, you're always going to feel like that. You're always going to feel like that. Both your Mars and your Mercury are down here in Cancer in your fourth house. This one is almost in Leo. So these two can cause issues because you're driven to have a solid home life. You're driven to, I want roots. This is where my roots are. Like, you're driven to that. But at the same time, I'm looking over here and I see your Jupiter that's in Virgo, that's in the fifth house. And so that is going to drive you to move, to travel, to be kind of a wanderer a little bit. So you war with yourself a lot. So instead of putting down roots in one place and staying there for the long term, that Jupiter placement, that personal power, is always going to drive you to wander a little bit. So those two are going to war against each other. Those two are going to war against each other hardcore. So you're going to spend a lot of money on a place. You're going to spend a lot of money making sure that that place is perfect for everybody at home, because these being in your fourth house, this is roots and home and family. So you spend a lot of money making sure that house is good, the roots are strong, and then in the next day you're ready to run and take a vacation. So those two things are always going to war with each other. And to be honest, the Virgo, even though there's two placements in Cancer right here, the Virgo is going to win, because that is your personal power. Virgo is much, much stronger headed, bullheaded. Cancers, I'm not saying y'all aren't bullheaded, because you are. But also being a Leo, you're a little impulsive. So you're always going to side with this impulsiveness. You have a lot of placements in your sixth house. The one I'm looking at here is Palace. Yes, it is really me. Yes, it is really me on the live. And yes, I can do that. This is your creativity. This house right here is your work ethic and how hard you are willing to work for stuff. So you're really creative when it comes to working. You're really creative when it comes to your balance of work and play. The only thing I'm going to say about this is, because this is tied into your Leo and your Venus, which we're going to talk about in a minute, these Leo aspects are going to outweigh this Libra aspect. They're going to overwhelm that Libra aspect. So you may have the greatest idea about a creative new thing for your house, for your roots, for your home, but that Leo placement is gonna overwhelm it. Let's talk about this Venus placement. This one coincides with your Jupiter, which are both over here in this fifth house. This is your inner child house. It's your house of play and so on. So you having a Leo placement with your Venus in that house means that you're very impulsive when it comes to luxury. So your luxury is not going to be, $1,000 pair of boots. Your luxury is not going to be, a $130,000 car. Not that you wouldn't like to have those things, but that's not where the vast majority of your luxury aspects are going to sit. Your luxury needs have to do with scratching that itch of being able to play. So travel, anything that you didn't get to do as a kid is now on your bucket list, and you will go out of your way to do those things. So here's what I'm going to say. Appeal to this Aries placement over here with your Saturn, and appeal to this Libra descending here, okay? Also, your moon being in Libra, thinking about something emotionally versus like knee-jerk reaction is going to help. I know that's weird to say, but having these two very impulsive aspects when it comes to your play and your inner child, if you really lean on that Aries placement as far as being driven to put money back, being driven to invest, and as long as you look at any knee-jerk thing you want to go do as, okay, is this a balanced thing for me to do? I just got everything situated with my house, and now I'm happy. I have a good job. I need to be working, but I have a 4-day weekend coming up, and I could totally find a cheap flight and fly to New York. Like, you're gonna have to like have a talk with yourself and be like, bitch, you don't need to go to New York right now. Like, go when the flights are cheaper. Okay, so just make sure that these two placements, this one and this one, are helping to kind of calm these two down, because these two are your troublemakers right here. Okay, I hope that made sense. Now, let me fix something here. Didn't check Sarah in. There we go. Better. I was like, wait a minute. I did Sarah's. Why is it not checking her in? All right, Miss Denise. Have I pulled a chart for you? Any other time, it would accept me spelling out the state, but not this time. This time it was like, no, I need an abbreviation. Bitch, you don't need abbreviation. All right. Nothing in your second house, but the main 2/3 of that is Libra. Your 11th house is split down the middle with Cancer and Leo. Jupiter just barely in Cancer in your 10th house. Having your Neptune in your 3rd house in retrograde in your chart tells me that you sometimes have a problem making a decision and standing on it, because You might have this goal over here, and this is where you've been wanting to go for several years, but now suddenly there's this goal and this goal and this goal and this goal and this goal. So you forget about this big goal that you've been working on for all these little ones, and then you get irritated with the little ones, and you go back to the big one. Like, you can have a problem setting a goal and sticking to it. And being a Taurus, that frustrates the shit out of you. Okay. Okay. So the fact that your Mercury is in your 8th house in Taurus, Taurus is a money sign, and this is your interpersonal money house. So this is a good indicator of you being very strong-willed when it comes to interpersonal finances, like with a significant other, inheritance, real estate, etc. So the fact that that's really close to the 9th house, though, investing in real estate, be careful, because sometimes your want of higher learning, your want of a really deep psychological connection can overcome logic when it comes to real estate. So be really careful. I do like that your Mars is in Taurus, because that means when you set your mind to a monetary goal, you are going to push forward with it. You just have to be careful you don't get sidetracked. The fact that your Jupiter is over here in your 10th house, and it's in Cancer. Okay. The thing I'm going to say about that, after I yawn. The thing I'm going to say about that is, because it's tied into your Saturn, I do like that it's square with your Saturn, but because it's tied into your Saturn, those are two very important placements. Both of them are in emotional signs, Cancer and then Pisces. So be careful that you don't make rash decisions based on emotion when it comes to moving forward and expanding, and also when it comes to banking and finance. So you want to be really careful. Maybe find a way to lock a savings account down, or putting savings in an IRA or something like that, that you can't just go and pull money from. Because knowing that you have money in savings and having that Saturn in Pisces means that if somebody needs money, if you need money, if something pops up, you will go pull all of that money in a heartbeat. Like, there's nothing will stop you in doing that. Like, you'll just go and pull it. And being that it's in your 7th house, usually you'll pull that money to help someone else. You'll pull that money to help kids, to help friends, to help family, etc. And you won't leave anything there to pay your own bills. Your Venus being in Aries in your 7th house means you're a very passionate person. It means you're very passionate about making sure that those around you have the best of the best. Again, that can sometimes not be super great for the wallet. I don't know if you have kids. I don't know if you have grandkids or whatever, or a significant other, any of that stuff, but you're a luxury gifter. You want to make sure that your gift is remembered for that birthday, for Christmas, whatever. And you try to kind of outdo yourself a little bit in getting some of these gifts. I don't think that all of this is you're buying everybody a car every Christmas, but this is you're buying expensive stuff. A, your reasoning is you want it to last, but because you're a Taurus. But B, because you're a Taurus also, they're getting good shit. They're getting good shit, period. You are not going to go buy cheap little trinket shit that's going to break really easy. We talked about your Mercury. We talked about your 2nd house. Your 6th house over here, your kind of work ethic house, this is kind of split a little bit. I love that a little bit more of it is in Aquarius than Pisces, because if it was more in Pisces, that would mean that you have no problem taking a day off all the time. I'm just going to say that you need to play to that Taurus aspect. Tauruses love money. They do love luxury, but they love money. So playing to that Taurus aspect is going to help you in the long run push forward and not be spending a ton on gifts and not be spending a ton on emotional expansion, if that makes sense. I really got to quit chewing on my lip. I've done it ever since I was a kid. And sometimes I really, really hate the winter time because, yeah, my lips be dry. Where's my green apple? I had it up here earlier. I found it. I was going to say, it's okay. I have my other one right there. All right. Brittany, you ready? I have Brittany, Brenda, and Tamra, and that is actually my list for this evening. I'm not doing a ton of these. I did knock my tickets down a little bit. I'll do them again. Don't worry. But because I've talked all day, if y'all missed the Astral Combat class, it will be up as a standalone class on the site here within a few days. I felt like that class was really good. I felt like it went really fantastic. So if you missed that class, no worries. It'll be up. I feel like we had good classes today, even with herbalism and with mentorship. I just liked to talk today. All right, Miss Brittany. Woo. Okay. So I like that you have a Capricorn descending placement. Nothing in your 11th house. It's ruled by Gemini. Nothing in your 2nd house. That's ruled by Virgo. Some interesting Sagittarius placements. A lot of interesting placements in your 4th house in Scorpio, which is a money house. Let's start there. Your main aspect of your money, Brittany, is home. Okay? Your roots, home, etc. So, Taurus up here and Scorpio are money houses. Okay? Excuse me, money signs. You have 4 Scorpio placements, and 3 of them are ones that I'm looking at. Thank you for that. 3 of them are ones I'm looking at. So we're going to start with Mercury right here. Mercury is not only communication, but it's commerce as well. So your Mercury placement being there in the 4th house, invest in real estate. Invest in something that's going to help you feel like you have roots and like your home. Okay? Your Venus and your Pallas are going to go hand in hand, but we're going to talk about Venus first, okay? Venus is luxury. The good thing about Scorpio is this. Scorpio is also not a sign that is overly bougie. Every single Scorpio I've ever known in my life, they're pretty modest with what they do. They like quality things, but they're also not about to go out and spend a ton of money on a quality thing. If the highest quality thing costs $100 and the next lowest quality thing is like $85, and then maybe there's one that's $70 and the rest of them are like $30, $40, they'll probably buy the $70 one. They're going to buy the $70 one. I'm just saying. They will drive the same car forever until it completely 100% falls apart cartoon style. And then they will go buy a nice car, but they're still not going to buy the top of the line car because they don't want to waste the money. Like, you Scorpios crack me up. I love you. I love you. You should go shopping with me because you can keep me from buying super luxury shit. I don't really buy a lot of super luxury shit, but you should go shopping with me anyway. I digress. The thing about this Venus placement is that there's your Saturn. Okay, for some reason I thought it was up here. The thing about that Venus placement is that you love love. You love home, you love roots, you love walking in the front door of your space and it being perfect. You love walking in the door of your house, of your home, and feeling like everything is just hunky-dory and you don't ever want to leave. I would bet with those placements too, you get in modes where you don't really want to leave the house, just because those are some intense placements that are there in your fourth house. Being a Sagittarius, though, you are all about kind of showing out a little bit sometimes. So when you do go out, when you do get to escape, it's on like all the Donkey Kongs. But your palace over here, I actually love that it's in Scorpio in your fourth house, because that tells me that you're very creative in how your safe space is laid out, how your roots are laid out. Let's talk about your Saturn. I like that your Saturn is tied in with both of the other placements that I'm going to be looking at, which is your Jupiter and your Mars. I also like that both of these other placements are in your 8th house. You have 3 placements in the 5th house, which can mean that you can be a little impulsive, especially with buys that fill some type of void or buys that are fun. So, items that you didn't get as a kid, or experiences that just seem like so much fun. You'll spend a little more money on those and shrink other payments, other monies. Okay. The fact that that's tied into these two and they're in Pisces is a little bit of a problem, because this is interpersonal money, and this is, as I mentioned, relationships. It's inheritance and real estate. So being that it's interpersonal money, and being that your moon is in your 7th house, you're not an outward person that is super mushy. Okay, because Scorpios are not super mushy and Aquariuses are not super mushy either. So you have your love placement and then you have your emotional placement. However, this placement right here tells me that these two can really govern you overspending on people, especially if it's someone else's money. You will 100% overspend. The fact that your Mars is tied into several of the signs that I'm looking at here, you're really, really driven. And I love that it's tied into Scorpio placements down here, because that kind of helps to even out that Pisces placement. But you're very, very driven when it comes to what you're passionate about. While I like that your 11th house is in Gemini, I don't like that there's nothing in it. I do like that your 6th house is in Capricorn, and I do like that your descending is in Capricorn, because that means that you have a very, very strong, hardcore work ethic. You're not about to go off the rails with the work ethic. If you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. I also like that your Neptune is right here in the 6th house, because those are like goals and hopes and dreams. So that's a lot of saving grace when it comes to canceling out some of this impulsive stuff up here. I will say that because you have those placements up there in the 8th house, and that also has to do with real estate. Can't get my jacket off. And having all of these placements down here in the 4th house, which is roots, investing in real estate, investing in a home is going to be something that's going to be very, very fulfilling for you and will pay off in the long run. All right, Miss Brenda. I know I'm going through these kind of fast. That's why I'm not looking at the comments too much. I have pulled for Miss Brenda. I thought I had. So that way, That way I can actually get through these instead of us all being up till 2 a.m. Nothing in your second house. That is split between Gemini and Cancer. I do love that your ascending is in Taurus. I love that your palace is in Taurus. I love that you have 2 placements in your 11th house. I love that the majority of your 6th house is in Scorpio. I love that the other placements I'm looking at are in Sagittarius. All right, so we're going to start over here and work our way around. So nothing in your second house, okay? This is a very even split between an emotional sign and a thinky sign, so that's good. Your Saturn is in Gemini in your first house. It is in retrograde, which means that you have a problem. You have a problem keeping money in the bank. You have no problem putting it in the bank, but it seems to evaporate. Like you just can't hold on to it in the bank. Being that it's also tied into those 2 up there in your 7th house, you tend to give other people your money, whether this is in helping friends, family, etc., whether it's gifting, whether it's I think a lot of it's probably gifting, to be honest. You do things to help other people. If you see somebody that's, and this is not always a bad thing, but it can be a bad thing when it's to your detriment. And having this Saturn over here in retrograde means that you do it to your detriment. The other problem is that if you have people that know that you will go out of your way to help them, to bail them out of a situation or whatever, they're going to take advantage of that. They're 100% going to take advantage of this Saturn retrograde placement. Your palace is also in retrograde. Vlad's singing for y'all again. So I hate that because it governs your creativity and it means that you get creatively blocked a lot, but that's okay. It also means you're a very logical person. So the 2 placements up here in your 11th house, I'm really mainly looking at your Mars. I kind of like that it's in Pisces because that means that somebody can push you to do something very emotionally and you are going to jump on it. So the good thing with that is if somebody pushes you to do something to better yourself, to kind of show them up a little bit, being a Sagittarius, you love to show people up. So if they push you emotionally where you're going to show them up a little bit, then you're all about it. The problem is that this also can be if they make you angry. You are going to jump on that too. Venus and Mercury right here in the 8th house, both in Sagittarius, that one barely in Sagittarius. This is your interpersonal money house. This is also real estate. It's my brain just went. It's you paying attention to money, that inheritance. There we go. It's like it starts with an I, bitch. You paying a lot of attention to other money that's coming in. What I'm going to say here is be really careful that you don't start to count your chickens before they hatch, because being a Sagittarius and having that many Sagittarius placements just with the signs I've pulled up, this means that you can be impulsive. So you could overspend in using the logic, well, I am supposed to get this check in the bank and it should be here in a couple of days. If you don't know the check's there, if the check hasn't come in yet, don't spend it. Okay, don't spend it. That's going to be the only thing I'm going to warn about there, because being a Sagittarius, you're a very even of the road aspect when it comes to luxury. You're driven to have nice things. You're driven to have finer things, but you're also not going to kill yourself to get there. And you'd kind of rather have this thing now than wait for 6 months and have this thing over here. you're never going to go without something, but you may have to replace that thing in a couple years. Does that make sense? Your Jupiter being here in your 7th house and being in Sagittarius and tied with your Mars, your personal power really is derived a lot from family, from friends, from your interpersonal relationships. So this also kind of works to your detriment too, especially if they know that you will give them money or whatever they need to bail them out of a situation. So be really, really careful with that. It's going to be really hard to implement this policy, but Brenda, I would start saying no, no, no when people around you are asking for money all the time. Okay? Especially if it's going to be really hard if it's a kid, if it's a best friend, if it's a family member, someone that you've given a lot of money to over the years, because they're used to this. And so when you crack down on this, you're like, hey man, like at this point you probably owe me like $100,000. Like I can't give you any more money until you start paying me some money back. They're not going to like that. They're going to buck the system and I'm not going to be your friend anymore. Well, I don't love you, blah, blah, blah. Fine, bitch. Go ahead and say fine. Let them go, okay? It's going to hurt your feels. I know it's going to hurt your feels, especially being a Pisces moon. It's going to hurt your feels really bad. But the fact that you're a Taurus ascending means that you're also going to be petty, petty, petty about it. I know more than a few Tauruses who would be happy to help you design jars. I'm just saying what I'm saying, Brenda. Brenda. You know what's really funny? I have never known anyone named Brenda, like personally. I've always liked the name. But I also always want to say Brenda. I don't know why. But I've always liked the name Brenda. My mom had a good friend named Brenda when I was younger. I don't know. It seems like Brenda seems like a name of a lady that lives in this gorgeous, big, huge white house and drives a big black Escalade and, wears really nice shoes. I don't know why. That's like the mental image I get with Brenda. She always has her hair just perfect. You know what I'm talking about? In my mind, that's what every one of you Brendas looks like. Is like this, I don't know, like this really poised lady. I don't know. A camper in New Zealand. Dude, that's epic. That's an epic Brenda right there. I'm sorry. That's an epic Brenda. You get a pass. New Zealand Brenda. No. Now you have the other Brenda ready to go to be in a camper in New Zealand. All the Brendas are going to leave and they're going to trash my view of Brendas. Oh my gosh. We're going to have to go through names in a little bit. Let me finish Tamra's read and then I will let you guys go up there on YouTube. I know y'all are going to miss the name conversation, but we're going to have a name conversation. It's on like all the Donkey Kongs, all of them, every one of them. All right, Miss Tamra. I know everyone pronounces your last name wrong. I would love to see how telemarketers try to pronounce your last name. See, a black Jeep, that's pretty close. Almost Escalade size. I'm just saying. Oh, I can only imagine. How many people say Florzak? And they just forget the C. I would bet you probably heard that one a lot, haven't you? Florzak. I'm like, what kind of ways could I pronounce that really wrong? Florksock. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Everyone. Sorry. It's not funny, but it really, really is. All right, let's look at your chart because now I'm getting giggly because I've got the sleepy stupids and it's great. I love the Scorpio placements. I love that there's 4 and 3 of them, well, 2 of them we're going to look at in this chart. I also love that your ascending is in Scorpio, a money sign, and I love that your descending is in Taurus. I love that your Jupiter is in Taurus. I love that you have an interesting placement right there in your second house. All right. So we're going to start here. I kind of mentioned this already, that you have Scorpio on one side in your ascending, and then you have Taurus on the other side in your descending. Both are money houses. They're very driven money houses. Then I want to talk about this. Your Mercury is just barely over the line in your 12th house right here. The 12th house is... It's the spiritual side of you, okay? So the problem with that is that you have no problem spending. The problem is no problem. The problem is that you have no problem spending money on spiritual endeavors. So if this is something that you feel is going to move you forward in the long run, if it's a very, very nice crystal at a very, very nice price, you're going to buy it. If it's something that you feel you need spiritually to move yourself forward, then you're going to buy it. It's not at least tied in with your Saturn, which is a good thing, but Saturn is tied in with your Mars, meaning you can be a little impulsive. Let's talk about this. We're going to kind of jump around slightly. Your Saturn being up here in Leo means that you can be impulsive with money. Leos are not known for being calm and chill. Leos are known for being up, down, and kind of being impulsive. We love you, Leos. I love you. I love you. Okay. Don't think I don't. But you're known for being kind of impulsive with money. So you have to be really, really careful. Oh, especially when it relates to your emotions. You will 100% go spend money to make yourself feel better because your moon being in your 4th house, being an Aquarius, Aquarius moons, y'all do not like to talk about your feels. You're going to hold that shit in until it oozes out of your eyeballs. But you will go spend money to make yourself feel better. Let's talk about this second house placement, mainly your Venus placement right here, because it's also tied in with your Saturn. This is your money house, your material girl house. Being that it's Sagittarius is the ruler of this house, you will make decisions on what you buy based on the flashiness of it. I almost said how it looks to other people, but that's not right. Based on the flashiness of it. I don't think everything you own is bedazzled. I don't think everything you own is glittery, but if you could have it all glittery, you probably would. Sagittariuses are known for being the life of the party. That's how you are in love. And that's how you are as far as your luxury self goes. You want the shiny shit. You want the shiny, shiny shit. The one thing that I'm going to say be really careful with is this. Since your Venus is in Sagittarius in your second house, that tells me that gifting is your love language. 100%. You are a gifter. You will buy so much shit for somebody that you care about because that's how you show them love. Having a moon in Aquarius, it means that you're not a crazy big PDA person. You having a Sagittarius Venus, you do like the touchy-feely aspects, but you show your appreciation. If you really love somebody, every time you see them, you're like, oh my God, I have something for you. I have something for you. Sometimes to the point that they're like, I don't need things. Like, I don't need things. It could just be a piece of candy, but still you feel like you have to gift them all the time. Your Mars being in Scorpio tells me that you're driven as fuck. You are driven as fuck. And your third house is governed by Capricorn, which means mentally you are you're an overthinker extraordinaire. So you will overthink a problem until you have 97 different ways to solve it, and then you'll go after the problem. So that works out in your favor. I would be willing to bet that anytime you have money problems, anytime you're like, fuck, I'm short on rent, or fuck, I'm short on a car payment, you will go out and you will hustle and you will bust ass and you will find a way to make that money. May not be a crazy amount of money, but you will find the way to make that money so things are paid. The only thing that I do want to talk about, and I do want you to be really careful with, is your Jupiter being in retrograde in your chart. I love that your Jupiter is in Taurus because that's a money sign. I love that your personal power is in a very strong earth sign. It's in the mutable sign, meaning you get shit done. I hate that it's in retrograde because it's in the 7th house, which is your relationship house. And that means that you struggle a lot with relationships. You feel like your personal power is kind of attached a little bit to a relationship. So like you'll feel like it's attached, and then in the next breath, you're like, fuck that, I'm an independent person. So you kind of go back and forth like this, but having that be in retrograde means that you really, really struggle with that. So this can cause problems with the gifting aspect as well. If you feel like a relationship is rocky, let's say you have a friend, y'all have been kind of fighting a little bit, even if this is your best friend, you've known each other 20 years, y'all are kind of having a little tiff or whatever, you haven't really talked to each other much, but your friend's birthday is coming up. You're going to go out of your way and spend too much money on her birthday gift because that is your way of apologizing in a way. That's your way of saying, I'm sorry, is to buy something bigger, better. But they take that as you trying to buy their love and their affection. And so sometimes it backfires and then you don't understand why it backfired because you just bought them this expensive ass thing. And this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. I'm a gifter, so I understand. But sometimes now you should start kind of scaling back on the gifts. I'll give you, this is for all of you guys that are gifters. I'll give you a little tip. I started a long time ago getting Christmas presents throughout the year for people. Especially now that my kids are older. I don't really have any little kids that I have to worry about buying the latest toy for or anything. I started getting gifts throughout the year, and because I'm a gifter, but I love the really deep, meaningful gifts, right? I want you to look up on your shelf and see that I got you that funny ass little thing right there or whatever in 2023, I want to hand you a gift and say, man, I got this badass Kachina doll when I went across New Mexico in 2023 during a blizzard. Like, I want to give you a story with it, okay? So that has helped me a lot because A, it spaces out my gifting and my money throughout the year, but B, it allows me to have a really cool story behind things. So if you can't travel, I haven't got to travel a lot lately, but I do travel a lot, and so I'm in a lot of different places. But if you can't travel, I'm going to recommend Etsy, okay? You're going to find some amazing handcrafted things on Etsy that you can get from all over the world shipped in. That way, you have this amazing, epic gift for their birthday or Christmas or whatever that you didn't spend a crazy amount of money on, but it looks fucking fantastic, and you get brownie points for giving them a handcrafted artisan gift, okay? Plus, you have a story to go with it. I ordered this from this lady in Scotland who, you see what I'm saying? Because having a lot of Sagittarius placements and being a Scorpio, you need meaningful things. So being able to give a very meaningful story behind it also will help you. It'll help elevate that gift in your mind, if that makes sense. Okay? What? Mom? What? Did you finish all your good food? Now you're coming up to chat. So I'm glad that made sense, Tamra. I'm glad that made sense. All right. Well, hang on just a second here and we're going to close some of this out. Yeah, we're going to close that out. We're going to close this out. For those of you guys over here on YouTube, I really appreciate you hanging out with us. What is today? Saturday? Yeah. I don't know if I'll be on YouTube tomorrow, but I am filming podcast episode. We had one ready to go Friday, and we both decided that we did not like it, so we did not release it. So expect there to be a BS with BNS podcast come out on Monday, just so you guys know. So, I mean, that might be a members only podcast. It was funny, it was good, but we just both were like,